when I first started posting my holes on Reddit in 2016, I was no face. Like I did probably nose down, so you could only see my lips. And I did okay, but once I did my face reveal 2020, that is when I saw exponential growth because they actually saw my face and they're like, oh, you're an actual human. You're more than just like TNA online. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm an actual person.
So what made you decide to go no face for 4 years?
Because I was in school and honestly, like, yeah, I did it throughout university to like help pay my bills because like university is expensive and it's
America. Yeah.
America's expensive, especially like California. And it's like, I went to university here, so it was so pricey. And, I worked 2 jobs along with doing sex work and I took probably like 16 units like every quarter because my plan was to graduate early, which I did. And like, I really grinded. And it's like, as I did sex work, I realized actually this is a lot more fun than the path I originally wanted to take. So that's why I went like full into it.
So what'd you want to be when you grow up?
I wanted, it's so dumb because my parents, I spent so much time wanting to like please them. So I'm like, I'm gonna be a doctor. Like, I'm gonna be a nurse. I'm gonna go the stereotypical Filipino route.
Wow, way to be a stereotype.
Yeah.
Way to be a stereotype.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just wanted to please my parents because that's the route they wanted me to take. And I'm like, okay, if it's gonna make them happy, I'm gonna do it.
Are either one of your parents in medicine?
Nah. But it's like, it's the Filipino stereotype. All of my cousins are in nursing. My sister is studying to be a nurse, but also she like dropped out of school. And then like, it happens. Yeah. But everyone in my family is studying to be a nurse. So I'm like, shit, like maybe let's try being a nurse too. And then I ended up switching my major to computational linguistics, which is like computer science and linguistics. And then I thought like, okay, it's like an engineering, like computer science job. I still make money even though I am not like in the medical field. And my parents, like, they were unhappy with that. So I realized, okay, they're not going to be happy with whatever I do in my life. What makes me happy is like, showing my holes online, like making like people like jerk off to me. Yeah. And I'm like really happy that I did make the decision because it happened 2019, right before the pandemic. Like my parents, they found out that I did porn because they looked through my bank statements. Like,
wait, they looked through your parents looked through your bank statements?
Dude, it's because after I graduated, I lived with them for a while, and my bank statements, like, I forgot to put them on paperless. I have ADHD. I forget everything. So, they got my bank statements, and like, there's Asian.
But they opened your mail?
Asian parents are like that. They're super intrusive. So then they opened my mail and they saw like ManyVids. What is that? And then they looked on like Google. They're like, ManyVids is a porn site? My daughter is doing porn? Oh, like, let me confront her about this. And they confronted me about it like when I got back from the gym, and they're like, you're doing porn, you whore. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing porn. You guys, let me leave right now. And that's when I just left because, just the disrespect I got for the life I chose to support myself while I went through university, because university is expensive. That's why I did it.
I mean, you don't have to justify it. You did it because you wanted to do it.
Exactly. And I enjoy it. And like, when I started, I tried to deny like, oh, I'm only doing this until I graduated. But then I graduated.
It's and like every stripper story ever. Like, yeah. I'm just paying my way through school. Like,
yeah, I'm just paying my way through school. I'm just doing this for a few years. But no, I actually really enjoy it. And that's why I'm still here, because I truly love what I do. And it's like, it took me a while to realize that. But then I'm like, I actually love like, I actually love showing my holes online. I love like making my own porn. I love being an online personality. And, that's like, yeah, it took my parents like disowning me to like realize that. But then, I am so much happier right now than I was back then.
Hell, I'm glad you found your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in contact with them at all? Have you reconciled or?
Yeah, we're fine now. Actually, it was so funny. Once I did like the foreplay films, I told them about it. And they're like, oh my gosh, That's awesome. You're actually doing movies now? Let's get back in contact. And they realized how successful I became once I stopped caring what they think and actually followed my own life. And they're like, she can support herself doing porn. And, you know, as long as she can support herself and we don't have to support her, like, that's fine. And, it sucks that it took them like all this pain and suffering to realize that. But I'm glad that they actually realize it now and I can openly talk about it now.
That's awesome. Also, you should have reminded them, like, keep it up. I'll put you in a crooked home.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers, you will not be healthy forever. Who's going to make executive decisions about you at the end there?
Exactly.
Be careful what you do to your children. They make decisions for you when you're about to die.
Exactly. I am your retirement fund, like you better be good to me.
You plan to put them up in a lifestyle they could grow accustomed to, like when they retire? Or are you going to be like, nah, fuck y'all. You weren't about this in the first place. It's my money.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really thankful though that they, it took them a while to finally be accepting of where I am in my life and like what I choose to do. But I am glad that they reached that point because I know a lot of like my fellow creators, like their parents never reached that point. But I'm like, like my parents, they realize like, okay, as long as my daughter is like happy with what she does and she's successful, okay, I'll support. And I am happy that like my parents actually realized that.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
As you said, like a lot of people's parents don't come to that because it's the fucking trope of like, oh, I've failed as a parent and my kid ends up on a pole or doing porn or like, oh, obviously it's a reflection on me if my kid decides that.
Is that wrong? No, though. Like, shit, I do pole dancing too. I did pole dancing before I did porn.
But it's one of those things like, that's not a reflection on them. You're your own fucking person.
Exactly.
The fact that like, they're so self-centered in a lot of cases that like, oh, this is a reflection on me. Like, no, motherfucker, that individual that you fucked into reality has thoughts, dreams, their own experiences, and are making their own conscious choice. It may have something to do with you, but it is not a reflection on you.
Exactly. Just because I choose to fuck for my living, like, it doesn't mean that you guys failed as parents. Like, it's just what I chose to do with my life. And it's like, I am happy with what I do. And isn't that enough, like, what you want with your child? Like, they are happy, they're successful, and they are, like, doing what they enjoy to do, which is, like, whether it makes people, like, orgasm or, like, be happy. Like,
hopefully that's both.
It's both. It's both for sure. I feel like they grew up in such a different time and place than I did, especially
they grew up in the Philippines or?
Yeah, my mom especially grew up in the Philippines, and I feel like that's why she was the most hard on me because she grew up with that Asian like stereotypical standpoint. While my dad like grew up in like the American kind of standpoint. He is Filipino as well, but he did grow up in America, so he is a little bit more liberal. But I don't blame them for the standpoints they have because that is just the reality they knew. And again, it took me a while for me to realize that, but then like I don't blame them because that is just what they grew up with. And that is why they reacted to me like doing porn. But I feel like times like these days, it's so much different. And you can create a living and reach success in so many different ways other than just being like in an office job or being like a doctor,
Well, and being an office job may not be successful.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not always like, just because you're in an office job doesn't mean you're going to be like the most successful. Like there is so many other ways to reach success these days.